everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to have you here today. We're going to be breaking down the dramatic shifts happening right now in Australia's 2026 student visa policies. From total onshore application blocks to record-breaking refusal rates, the landscape has completely transformed over the last couple of years. Today, we're strictly diving into the official government data, migration instruments, and academic research to make sense of these sweeping changes. We're keeping things entirely factual, impartial, and easy to digest. Let's get right into it. Now, really quick before we jump in, this explainer is strictly educational. It's an impartial report on the new rules based purely on our source materials, so it's general information only, not personalized immigration assistance or legal advice. If you need advice about your own specific situation, definitely make sure to consult a registered migration agent or an immigration lawyer.
Look, if you're currently stressing out about a temporary visa expiring soon, you are absolutely not alone. Make sure you hit subscribe and drop a like on this explainer right now so you don't miss out on any of our future deep dives. We're going to navigate these incredibly complex systems together.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First up, the visa hopping ban. Next, we'll look at the record-breaking 2026 rejections. Then, we'll break down the new genuine student test, talk about who's actually being affected by all this, and finally, we'll cover your legal alternative pathways.
Part 1. The visa hopping ban.
So back on July 1, 2024, the government implemented a massive legislative shift to stop a practice they call visa hopping. And if you want to understand exactly why they did this, just look at this number. 36,000. That is the sheer volume of visitor-to-student visa applications that were lodged in just under a single year. The authorities essentially viewed this as a massive, coordinated attempt to bypass their offshore integrity measures. But get this, it wasn't just visitors. The Grattan Institute found that a whopping 32% of temporary graduate visa holders were returning to study the moment their visa expired. The government explicitly came out and said, this has to stop. The expectation is that graduates should be out there finding skilled jobs, not just prolonging their stay in this endless state of permanent temporariness. So how did they stop it? They basically slammed the loophole shut using a legal instrument called LIN 24/051. Now, prior to July 2024, only a few specific, niche streams of the Subclass 600 visitor visa were blocked. But now, the entire Subclass 600 category, right along with the Subclass 485 temporary graduate visa, are completely 100% blocked from applying for a student visa onshore. It is a hard block for anyone trying to transition while physically inside Australia. Which brings us to Part 2, the record-breaking 2026 visa rejections. The immediate fallout from these tighter policies has been absolutely staggering. When you look at the early 2026 data, student visa refusal rates have surged to their highest point in roughly 20 years. For some offshore categories, approval rates have plummeted to roughly 2/3. That's right, basically 1 in 3 are getting rejected as immigration authorities apply intense, unprecedented scrutiny to make sure these visas aren't just being used as a default backdoor for employment. Let's move to Part 3, the genuine student test. To actually enforce these strict new standards, the government threw out the old test and completely replaced it back in March 2024. This new genuine student, or GS requirement, evaluates whether you genuinely intend to study, and more importantly, if your chosen course actually makes logical sense with your background. Now, interestingly, it actually no longer penalizes students who might eventually want to seek permanent residency down the line, so long as their immediate primary intention to study right now is 100% authentic. But here is the catch. The application itself has become incredibly rigid. Instead of writing out a long, detailed essay to explain your situation, you are now restricted to a strict 150-word limit per question. You literally have to provide concrete evidence of a 12-month employment history, demonstrate tight economic ties to your home country, and definitively prove exactly how this course is going to benefit you. Any inconsistency in your answers? That drastically increases your risk of a flat-out refusal. Real quick, before we move on to look at who is actually taking the biggest hit from all of this, I'd love to hear from you. Have you had to navigate multiple temporary visas in your own life? Jump down into the comments and share your visa journey below. The stories we've been reading in the research are just wild, and I would love to hear what your personal experiences have been like.
All right, Part 4. Who is affected? Now, beyond all these stark numbers, there is a very real human cost here, a phenomenon that academics refer to as permanent temporariness. According to research from the Journal of Ethnic and Migration Studies, while pretty much everyone views a permanent visa as the ultimate goal, the math simply doesn't add up anymore. You've got roughly 2.5 million temporary visa holders in the country, but only about 205,000 permanent places available. Only a tiny fraction can actually make that transition each year, which creates this brutal, almost impossible bottleneck.
And because of that bottleneck, the stakes are just incredibly high right now, especially for those sitting on expiring 485 or 600 visas who suddenly find out they can no longer apply onshore. If you hesitate, wait around, and end up overstaying your visa by more than 28 days, you legally become an unlawful non-citizen. And that now triggers a severe, mandatory 3-year re-entry ban to Australia. Literally, the days of flexible, short overstays without major consequences are completely gone.
Finally, let's pivot to Part 5, Legal Alternative Pathways. Look, it's not all doom and gloom. It isn't just closed doors. The government is really just shifting away from flexible onshore hopping towards highly targeted, legitimate migration. If you happen to have in-demand skills, the Skilled Migration Program still offers over 130,000 places. They are heavily prioritizing core skills in sectors like health, ICT, and engineering through visas like the 189, 190, and 491. On top of that, employer sponsorship remains a major avenue, right alongside your stable family and partner visas.
Now you might be wondering, what if I genuinely just want to study? Well, that visa hopping ban we talked about earlier, it only applies to onshore applications. The offshore strategy is completely legal and entirely valid. If you're stuck on a blocked visa, you can legally depart Australia and simply apply for a new student visa from outside the country. If you truly meet those strict, genuine student criteria we broke down earlier, you can absolutely still be granted that visa.
So, what does this all mean for the big picture? We are clearly witnessing the definitive end of flexible migration in Australia. It's being replaced by a system that demands precise, intentional planning literally from day one. And honestly, it really begs the question, as countries all over the world continue to tighten their borders, is the era of the global citizen coming to an end, or is it just evolving into something much, much more exclusive? I'd love to know what you think. Also, if you know anyone whose temporary visa is expiring soon, do them a huge favor and share this explainer with them right now so they don't get caught out by these new rules. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I will catch you in the next one.